Good morning, and welcome to March 20th, 2015 Monthly District Plan Advisory Council. I'm asking everybody to stand, please. Turn around where you can be seen. This is the Advisory Council. You are the Advisory Council. I'm just here as your president. You can have a seat. Thank you. And I just want you to tell you that I appreciate you all. I'm the young, I'm, I get stuttering, but I'm going to go on. I just want you to know that it's so good to see old faces, new faces. And where's our district coordinator? Miss Lisa Jenkins is our district coordinator. Will you please stand? I want to introduce Miss Betty Thomas. Got it right. As is our vice president. Please stand. Mr. Kevin Barfield, secretary and past president. And you know everybody knows her, whether you're here or not. Miss Martha Wilson, board vice president. You know what she's got? She can tell you that because I'm going to get her up here to tell you a little something. She's got too many names for me to try to remember.
She wears too many hats.
Yes, too many hats. You can sit down, Miss Betty. So now I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Betty, Miss Thomas, before she can give you the welcome.
I think we'll do something bad. Y'all know me. Everybody knows that I always got a smart, fast word in my mouth. And I had one just then. Now I'm being bad. Good morning. Good morning. Good day. The sun is shining. It's a great day because, good Lord, thank you. The sun is shining. And like I wanted to say, the news has been good and it's good bad. We've had a lot of bad things happen this past weekend, and we had some good things. And I'm going to say like the young man who took my heart on TV the other day when they interviewed the three gentlemen that pulled that baby from the car. The young men have told them they heard a voice. So this young man must have been like me. He was mad because, don't tell me I didn't hear a voice. He looked at the man and said, I told you, I heard a voice. We all can hear that same voice if we listen. Thank you.
Thank you. So now here's my part that I'm really going to enjoy. I would like to introduce you to Miss Erica Gordon. She's a writer. She's an author. And she's the CEO of a university. She's young. She'll tell you the rest. I don't want to break into her story. She's a mother. She's a God-bearing woman. She's just so much. And she's my niece, my adopted niece. When I didn't see her, but when I did see her, I fell in love with her. And I hope y'all love her too. Miss Erica.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Just gonna pour some water real quick. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to be here with you. Just as we build physical muscles by overcoming opposition, we also build character muscles by overcoming adversity and challenges. That's one of my favorite quotes by Stephen Covey. And I don't know about you, but I know I've built some serious character muscles. Has anybody in here, have you been through some things and you built some character muscles? Absolutely, right? But we're still standing, right? And that's what matters. And the thing that I know about us is that we're conquerors and we're overcomers. and we don't give up. And although sometimes life might knock you down, you'll find a way to get back up. But there will be those occasions, those unpleasant moments when you find yourself knocked down on the ground, hit by an obstacle or a challenge that you didn't expect, and you're not really sure if this is going to be the thing that takes you out. Do I really have what it takes to get back up? Can I do this? And in that moment, you just need a friendly reminder, someone to come over, tap you on your shoulder, give you a hand, and pull you back up on your feet and remind you that you got this. I want you to turn to the person sitting next to you right now and tell her or him, you got this. Now turn to the person on the other side, because we don't want to leave anybody out, and let them know you got this. And today I'm your reminder. I stopped by today just to remind you of your strength, to never give up, and to know that you were brought here for a purpose. And no matter what you go through, no matter what it is, you got to keep going. And it's funny to me, when I come to events like this, Aunt Loretta, she didn't really tell you all my backstory. But yes, I am a mother of 4, and I also am the CEO of Moms with Dreams University. I created that for moms to have a place where they can come and feel safe following their dreams without the people who want to say, oh, why do you want to do that? Shouldn't you just be happy with what you have? So it's a safe community that I've created where you can come and you can learn about yourself. You can learn about how to pursue those dreams that you set aside. And yes, so I created that. And yes, I have a master's degree. And I'm sure you judged me when you saw me. Everyone does it. We all do it, right? We make assumptions. And you may have even said to yourself, wow, she looks like she's got it going on. She might be talking about something today. But when I come to events like this and I hear them talk about me and all the things I've accomplished, it's funny, I have to stop and smile because I didn't always have it all together. And what the things that you might read about me or hear about me don't tell you is that I was a teen mom and the struggles that I faced being a teen mother. Having to sit across the table from my parents and tell them that their baby at the tender age of 17 was going to have a baby. To look in my dad's face and to see him crying for the first time in my life and know that I was the cause of his pain. My bio doesn't tell you any of that. And the struggle that I went through. I'll never forget going back to school. It was September, we're back in school. Before that, nobody knew I was pregnant because I didn't tell anybody. I was too ashamed. Well, actually, I didn't know. I was in denial. Anybody ever been in denial? So I was in denial, but when I finally came to terms with it, I still didn't tell anyone. So we went back to school, and I remember, I'll never forget this day. I remember walking down the hallway and seeing my favorite math teacher, Mrs. Ray. And we literally almost bumped into each other because she was so distracted by my bulging belly. And when she finally looked up, she never said a word. She just looked at me, shook her head, and walked away. And in that moment, if I could have just ran somewhere and hid and never showed my face ever again, that's what I would have done. I felt this big. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed to have to walk through the high school with this big old belly. Not Erica. That wasn't supposed to be me. I was the one who was going to college on full scholarship. I was going to Rutgers University, and then I was going to be the first graduate in my family. I was headed to law school to become an attorney because my best friend and I had made a deal. She was going to become a doctor, and I was going to be the lawyer. And now look. And so I decided in that moment that although this isn't what I had planned, that I wasn't going to let it stop me, that I refused to be another statistic. So, and I'd also promised my father that I would still finish high school and go to college. So I got myself together and I finished school. I walked with my class. I graduated in the top 10% as I was before, and I went to college. It wasn't easy. I wasn't able to take the traditional route. All my friends went away. I got to hear their stories of spring break and all the fun they were having. I was working a full-time job and going to school at night. I would take my baby to daycare on my way to work. I dropped him off, picked him up after work. We'd go home, transition, get something to eat. And I'd pack him back up with me, and I'd drop him off at the child care center on campus. And I did that for many years, and it was not easy. I will not stand up here and tell you that it was fun, because it wasn't. But I figured it out. I figured out a way to make it work. And I got a little system in place, so I thought I was doing something. we were making it. I was handling my responsibilities. And then, as life does it, something always shows up, right? So this time, it was a man. Oh boy. You know when you meet that one, right? And you're like, he's the one. Yeah, well, we fell in love basically at first sight. And he had become inseparable instantly. He told me that he wanted to help me. He wanted to take care of me. He didn't want me to struggle anymore. He wanted me to be able to go to school and not have to worry about working and taking care of all those other things on my own. So I was in like, hey, this is right. This is right up my alley. I was ready. I was ready to have that dream. I remember being a little girl and dreaming of being married and having a beautiful family and all the things that we're told that we should dream of, right? So I accepted, and we got married, and we built a beautiful life together. And we had 3 beautiful children. We bought our home before I was 26 when we bought our home, and we were living the American dream. Beautiful home in the suburbs, 4 awesome kids, 2 cars. I only had to work part-time, so I was living the life. We even had the little black cockapoo, Nyla. Our life was complete and everything was great, and I was happy. But how many of you know about women's intuition? Well, you might not know, but you know, you have intuition.
We have intuition too.
Right. And so even though everything looked amazing on the outside, every now and then I'd get that feeling like something's not right. Have you ever gotten that feeling, but you don't want to, you kind of like downplay it and you dismiss it and you're like, that's just me being extra. Let me just keep being happy with what I have. So it would come and go. And finally it got to a point where I said, you know what, I'm not going to ignore this feeling anymore. It's coming back to me for a reason. So finally I got the courage to address this feeling that I was having. It was May 20th, 2007 at approximately 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the day of my youngest son's 6th birthday party. So we were excited. We had our friends and family coming over, had this huge piñata, all these games, everything was laid out. It was going to be a beautiful day. And this is the day that I decided to follow my intuition, right? So I turned to my husband and I said, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with me. Will you do that? And he said, yes, I will. I said, okay. Have you ever cheated on me before? And I waited. Right. And I was like, you said you were going to answer the question, so let me ask you again. Have you ever cheated on me before? Now, you know how you ask a question, you don't really want to know the answer, but you ask anyway? So that's kind of what happened here. I was not prepared. So he stopped, finally ignoring me, and he says, well, Erica, do you remember that conversation that we had before, and you said that we could probably work through anything that happens in our marriage except for one thing? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I guess you better pack your bags because there's a possibility that I have a child with someone else. Exactly. So I was shocked. I told you I wasn't ready for that answer, right? So I sat there for a few minutes and I was waiting. I'm like, he's going to say he's just kidding. Any minute, this is a bad joke and it's not funny, but he's going to tell me he's kidding. But he wasn't kidding. He was serious. And to make it even worse, I knew who she was. She had been in our home. She had claimed to be a friend, had babysat our children, and all these things. I had babysat her baby that I thought was hers and her boyfriend, but it was actually hers and my husband. So in that moment, it took me right back to the moment of when I ran into my teacher and I felt this big. I felt stupid. How could you be so smart, Erica, and be so dumb? The signs were there and you ignored them. Why would you do this? And then I started to blame myself. I took all the responsibility for his actions. It was my fault. I should have done this. I didn't do that. How many of you can relate to that? Have you ever been through something and you just always automatically put the blame on you? Well, that's what I did. But the devastation of what he told me was so severe that I couldn't even talk about it. I later learned that that was a form of shock that I had gone into. And so for a whole year, I didn't tell anyone, not a soul. My mother, my father, my sisters, nobody knew what I was going through. And on the outside, everything still looked great. You know, I was holding it down, still going, taking care of the kids. Everything on the outside looked wonderful, but on the inside, I was dying. I was dying. And I was begging him, can we please just work it out? Like, I didn't want to give up on my family. Because at that time in my life, my happiness wasn't important to me. It didn't matter what I wanted. I was so indebted and so ingrained in my role as a wife and a mother that I had forgotten anything about myself. And so I was willing to set my happiness aside, willing to do whatever it took to keep my family together. Because I took my vow seriously. I didn't want my children to have to grow up in a broken home, to have to visit their dad on the weekend, spend half their summer with their mom. I didn't want that for them. I didn't want to be a single mom again. That's why I got married. I had been down that road. So I was willing to do whatever it took to keep my marriage together. But guess what? If the other person's not in it, is it going to work? And that's what I had to come to grips with. And so eventually, got to a point it got out of control. He still was doing his thing, running the streets, doing whatever he was doing, and it just got crazy. So eventually, we ended up separating and ultimately divorcing. And there I was again. Felt like I was standing on that piece of carpet right there, and someone snatched the rug from up under me, and I fell flat on my face. Here I was again, back at ground zero. Now, not only am I a single mom, I'm a divorced mom. And in the midst of all of this, I couldn't afford to live in the house we were living in by myself. So when he left, he stopped paying the mortgage. I wasn't getting child support. And remember, I was only working a part-time job, so I couldn't afford to stay there. I had to make a decision. I was facing a challenge. How many of you, we talked about it earlier, we build our character muscles through challenges, right? How many of you have ever been in a place where you had to make a really tough decision? It was one of those decisions where either way you couldn't see it being good, but you had to do something, right? Well, that's where I was. That's where I found myself. And so here I am, a divorced woman of 4, broken heart, and now I'm in a financial turmoil. I can't stay in this house because I can't afford it. And so I end up moving. I pack up my 4 kids, my 4-bedroom house, and was blessed to find another home in a nearby city, actually in a better school district, so it worked out. But I still was in a financial turmoil. Ultimately having to file for bankruptcy because I just had to, that was my only option. I had the obligation of a mortgage that I couldn't afford. So I had to start over. And so, the thing that I learned is that I could have given up in that moment. I could have said, you know what, this is just too much. but I knew that my children were depending on me. I knew that they needed me more now than ever. And I discovered, in this process, what I discovered was the thing that I thought was going to kill me, in those moments I had plenty of days when I was just like, I can't do this anymore, God. Why? I was angry. I was really mad. I was sad. I was afraid. What am I going to do now? Here I am back a single mom again. Now I have bad credit, 4 kids, not just 1, but 4. What am I going to do? And I didn't have the answers. I really didn't. But thank God, right? Thank God that he was there for me. And it was in that moment that I wished that I had someone who would just come tap me on the shoulder and say, Erica, get up. You got this. It's going to be all right. But I didn't have that. And so I decided that I no longer wanted to be in that place. I wasn't going to be in the pity party any longer because it wasn't serving me, it wasn't serving my children, and I knew that I couldn't stay there. I'd had many conversations with God looking for the answers. He wasn't delivering the answers as quickly as I want them. And you know how God is. He shows up when he's ready, not when we're ready. Right? So I remember laying in bed one day and having a conversation with God. And I said to him, if you will deliver me from this place, if you will help me, get me out of this sadness, this darkness, and move me into where I am supposed to be, because I'm a happy-go-lucky, free-spirited type of person. I don't like to be sad. I promise that I will use my story. I will use my experiences. I'll do whatever I need to do to position myself to empower other women and help them overcome their challenges. And it seemed like almost instantly the sun came out. I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders because no longer was I trying to figure it all out on my own. And slowly but surely, I found my strength again. And I took the time that I needed to reflect and look back on, what did you like doing when you were a child? What did you think you were going to be when you grew up? Although I had made the agreement to be an attorney, I don't think that was my calling. And I discovered that I'm really passionate about education, hence the university. And so I decided that I was going to go back and finish up my education. I found a way to, in the midst of going through a divorce and working full-time and working part-time and taking care of my kids, I found a way to go back to school and earn my master's degree. And I wanted to counsel women. So my degree is in psychology. But in the process of that, I also discovered that I'd like to coach. Because as a psychologist, I can counsel and I can support them. But as a coach, I can empower them. And I can give them strategies and help them create a plan to move from where they are to where they want to be. And that is really what I wanted to do. So I got myself together and I did it. And again, it was not easy. And there were plenty of days when I said, this is for the birds, I'm done. But I managed to get through. How many of you have gone through something when you look back and you're like, man, I don't know how I did it? Right? That's the strength. That's because we're overcomers and we're conquerors. And, the one thing that I'm so glad of that I did that is because last year I lost my dad. And we were best friends. He was my biggest supporter. And before he left, I had the blessing of hearing him tell me that he was proud of me. And, that meant so much to me because for my entire life, I walked around feeling like I had disappointed him. Like, having a child at 17 and watching your dad cry for the first time. Thank you. But to hear him say, I'm proud of you, Erica, for all that you've done. That was all I needed. But had I given up, had I not pushed through those challenges and that adversity, I wouldn't have been able to hear him say that. And so I just wanted to share that with you and remind you that, we don't know how much time we have left. None of us are promised to see tomorrow. So I want you to start to really get serious about what it is that you're put here to do. You might not know today, but you have a purpose. There's a calling on your life. And there are people waiting for you to show up. Because I didn't give up, I'm able to be here with you and all the other women and everyone else that I don't know yet who I'm going to touch. But what are you going to do? And so what I discovered, the thing that I thought was going to kill me, the thing that almost took me out, my divorce, actually saved my life. It gave me a second chance and it allowed me to reconnect with Erica, and it reminded me to never lose sight of who I am. It's time for us to stop allowing our success and our happiness to be dependent on who's in our life, what's in our life, what's going on in our life. It's time for us to stand up and take responsibility and go after what it is that we want. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Look at all the great, strong women who've come before us. Rosa Parks. Harriet Tubman, we could name them all. We could probably stand in here and name hundreds and thousands of women who we admire, right, and who are strong. They didn't give up. And I know that you're probably facing something in your life right now that you feel like, this is just bigger than me, I can't do it. But you can. And so my divorce was an unexpected wake-up call that allowed me to reconnect with who I am. And I'm grateful for it. In the moment, I couldn't see past it. But I'm so grateful for that experience. What are you facing right now? What are you facing right now that has you feeling like, if I could just get up? And so what does all this have to do with you, right? All my mess, everything I shared with you, what message can you take from what I shared today? That's really all I'm here for, right? I told you I'm here to remind you of your strength. I want you to be encouraged. But I also have 3 specific things that I want you to do when you leave here. Because just as you came here facing things, when you leave here, those things are still going to be there, right? And so what I had to do throughout my life is figure out how to maneuver, how to not let those things stop me. And so this is what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is make a personal commitment to yourself that you are no longer going to allow your dreams to sit on a shelf and collect dust. That if you don't know your purpose and what you're here to do, that you're going to make every effort to figure it out. Okay? Make that commitment to yourself, to your family, to all the people who, like I said, who are waiting for you to show up. Secondly, once you figure that out, I want you to nurture that dream, whatever it is. And how do you nurture your dreams? Well, the first thing you should do is write it down. So if you don't have a journal, I encourage you to go get your Dreams and Success Journal. Put that on the title, the cover of the book, call it that, and make it your personal journal where you write down your dreams. It might be hard at first because you might have been like me, had buried them, and it's been years that you even thought about a dream. But it's still in your heart. Each and every one of you has something that you're supposed to do. So reconnect with your dreams, write them down, and nurture them. Nurture them by reading books that feed your mind, that inspire you, that teach you things that you may not know that you don't know. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know until somebody tells us, wow, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Of course you didn't. Connect yourself with people who are where you want to be. If you can't pay to work with them or be in their direct circle, there's so much information and ways to connect with them through social media. Find that person that you admire and start following her or him. Build a support community around you. When I first started out, I didn't have my family on my back. They didn't support me. And that might happen to you. You might have that now. It's okay. Your family is your family, and you have to go out and build your support community. It's important. If without the support, it's going to be really hard to do something bigger than you. So I want you to do that. And then I want you to start holding yourself accountable. Just as we tell our children, you have to study for that exam and you have to take that test and do well, and we hold them accountable to what they say they're going to do, start holding yourself accountable for the things you say you're going to do. Don't let yourself off the hook so easily. If you say you're going to do something, if you say you're going to start reading a book, go get the book and start reading it. If you say you're going to take a class, figure out how to get yourself in that class. Be accountable. So those are the action steps that I want you to take, and I want you to focus on staying focused on your dreams. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite Maya Angelou quotes, because I just love her. Maya Angelou says that a bird doesn't sing because it has the answers. A bird sings because it has a song. You have a song to sing. I want you to go out there and sing your song. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I was gently nudged by my aunt here to share with you all how you can connect with me.
They have your bio.
Okay. It has my information on the back, right? But if you want to check out my university, it's called momswithdreamsuniversity.com. Is it there? Okay.
You gotta put it on the air.
momswithdreamsuniversity.com. You can also reach me on Facebook under Erica Gordon. Moms with Dreams, anything across social media, Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, LinkedIn, you'll find me, Erica Gordon. I'm out there, and I would love to connect with you all. I mentioned support and community. I have an actual support group. It's called Moms with Dreams. So if you're looking for a connection or a network of women who are also moving forward and doing things, let me know. I can connect you, and you can be a part of our group. It's free. I also have a free training series that I'm doing right now that's available to you. If you're interested, all you have to do is, I'll add you to, I can actually enroll you. All you have to do is text your name and email address to this number. Everybody get your phone out, and I'll give you the number. Yes.
Suppose you don't have any of those things.
And a text.
I don't have a text and I don't do any of that. Where are you located?
I'm located in Burlington Township. I can give you my business card, and I can also take your information, and then we can stay connected that way. Can you get that sign-up sheet out of my thing? Okay, so here's the number. So it's 609-346-1478. And just text me your name and your email address, and I will make sure that you are added. So what's happening with that is it's a 16-day series, and I have 16 experts that I've gathered. They're actually 16 of the instructors from my university, and they're teaching on different topics every day. So we have And so we have experts talking about how to build a business, how to build your self-confidence, like different areas, everything that you can think of. I try to take a holistic approach to education because I know that traditional education isn't for everyone. And I believe that you can do more when you feel better and when you are empowered and you have the tools and the resources you need. So that's what I provide through the university. And I also have an upcoming conference on March 28th. It is in West Hampton, New Jersey. It's called Access to Your Dreams Conference. Really excited about it. And I'll have 5 dynamic speakers, and I'll leave you guys with a flyer if you're interested. I'd love to have you come. And because you're here today, if you're interested in coming, let me know, and I'll give you a special discount on the price for the ticket. And the ticket includes your lunch. So you're coming out for a day of fun, inspiration, sisterhood. You're going to meet some powerful women, and you're going to have a great time. So I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
I'll tell you one thing, at least you only did the dumb thing one time. See, I'm a dummy, I had to do it twice.
What, married?
Yes.
Aww.
Here, this is for you from all of us in the advisory council. It's just a small thing,
I
but it's to
love
brighten
it.
your day
Thank you so much.
wherever you go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. This is so beautiful.
Thank you very much. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you.
Trying to get off the stage.
Well, while she's getting herself together, we can go on. And I hope you enjoyed her. She has a lot to offer offer all of us. You know, it was a lot of us have been there, done that. It's a lot of us has been able to support each other. So, I think it's a wonderful thing. So before I won't start rambling, we're going to start the other part of the half of the show. Oh, yeah, well, I'm thinking of it. Erica is going to give away a book, and while y'all talking, I'll go and get the paper where you'll know who won, and we'll call your name at the end, okay? So, without further ado, I'm going to let Miss Wilson start it off. This is Women Who Empowered You, and just in case you don't realize it, this is Women's Month. So that's why we're here today.
Good morning, all. And what a blessing to be able to be here to say that we are a part of Women's History Month. The things that we endure and that we carry as we go through life, one of the things that we have to recognize is the fact that we are anointed and we are a chosen people. We are the women who, when we cry the tears of travail, if you bottle them up, that would be sweet perfume. But the reality of all of that is from the time that we realize that we're carrying a child until the day that we close our eyes. The love and the blessings and the strength and the struggles, we know where to carry it. We know who it is that helps to get us through all of the things that we go through. For me, I was blessed to have 5 generations. I had a grandmother, my maternal grandmother on my mother's side, Florence Armstrong, who was one of, I believe it was 8 children. She was the one, everyone else in the family had money, but she was the one that everyone came to her house after church on Sunday. The pastor, the congregation, and the families, they came there. She had the least, but she gained much. My father's mother, Louise Copes, who is a woman who was very strong in stature and didn't talk a lot to you. You didn't get a lot of history out of her with the family until later on in years. My mother, who has been a mother, not only for my family, but when my mother's sister, Marion Armstrong, gave birth to her first 2 children, they were my mother's first 2 children because my mother took care of them as though they were hers. And with that, my mother still raised my grandmother's, her sister's granddaughter. So she grew up in my household as my sister, along with my cousins. So family is very important. The women in the family make the difference of a lot of things that go on. The fathers, they go out to work. I was blessed to have a father in my household. But they go out to work. They bring in the things that we need to go into the household for the most part. But my father never wanted my mother to work because he understood what the importance of a wife and a mother truly was. And if we're working and connecting and that passion of that part of our life, that's when you know not only are you touching your own children, but you're touching those out in the community. That's how I ended up here. Because not only did my own children go to Camden City Public Schools, and I was there for them through the parent piece at Camden High, but for the ones that they grew up with, coming from Parkside School with my youngest, and my oldest, she came through Parkside, and my son, he had to go not the traditional route because he needed a little more help. So therefore, he was in Catholic school. So what we did is we found the situation where no matter what it is that we do in life, when we reach out to the children in the school district, when you go into the neighborhood or you go into their areas, you become mom for them as well. That was what gave me my strength to continue to do the things that I do. I worked as an administrative accountant for RCA. I was the chairperson for the Deaconess Board for New Mickle Baptist Church for 7 years. But when God gave me the sign, he said, come out from that. Don't accept it the next time that they put you in for president. Where was I going and what was I going to do? I knew he was going to show me it didn't matter. You just wait on it. And with that, that's how I wound up coming to Camden High School and then through the District Parent Advisory Council and then becoming the president of the council and working with not only the children but the parents in this school district. I can say to you that my biggest joy has been being able to serve you, our children, and that all comes from what I watched my mother do. I now watch my children. I have 2 daughters and a son. My daughters, every one of them and their friends know what was the last word you were going to hear from me walking out of my house. Conduct yourself like a young lady. Sheree is shaking her head because she knows she's a part of that delegation that came through. But that's what it's all about. You lead by example. You walk by faith. And you walk in courage. I understood your story. Been there, done that. My last year of high school, I gave birth to a little girl who was the biggest joy in my life. It was something that happened unexpectedly. I didn't want to cry rape, but I didn't want my father to come in and create a murder. So the situation became, it wasn't what I was expecting, it wasn't what I was looking for, and it happened. But what do? You continue to move forward. I became an honor roll student the last year of high school at Camden High, graduated from Camden High, went to Rutgers, worked for the Camden County for Mr. Anderson Ways. You know where the smoke shop was up on Broadway? The office is over top of that. I went to school at Rutgers and I worked the hours that I needed to work for the county. So let me say that when doors are blocked, a window will open. I never looked at my child as though she was a mistake or a problem. She became the joy of my life. For 10 years, it was her and I. I married her father, and it was good for 4 years. But like you said, if people are not trying to grow and be in the purpose that God has brought them here to be, then sometimes it's time for you to move on. It's hard to love someone and have to walk away. For a year, I could go in the mall and just be walking, and the tears would start rolling. But in time, when he said it was ready, he moved it out. And then you just continue to do the things that you do. And that is to give back much love to those that you come into. That is what we're here to do. A lot of people may not understand me. For years, people didn't know my husband and I were married. They knew both of us, but didn't know that we were married. And the reason for that was not that we were hiding anything, but the reality is he was in the police department. And I know I had to be very protective of my children because of things that were going on some of the corners in the neighborhood we lived in. But the reality is I wouldn't let my children go to the corner store, and I didn't want him to go to the corner store. I went to the corner store. And you said, why is that? Not that I don't think that my family had covering, because you pray those blessings upon them and ask to be covered with the blood. But I knew who I was in God's eyes. I knew that I would be protected. I didn't walk with fear. And for us to get things done in this city, in this school district, and with our children and with our parents, and to turn it around to what it should be in this district, we've got to walk with courage. When you see a wrong, we come together to right it. That's what we have to do. We don't allow anyone to separate us. I'm looking at people here today. I'm preaching to the choir. because we are family. And that's the one thing we've always talked about, is that when we come together through parental involvement, we are family. We don't separate, we don't divide, we don't allow anyone to break us. Some may think they do and they have. No, we're still all together. And I ask that each one of you is that you continue to reach out to more of the parents that used to come and bring new ones, because we need each other more now than we ever have before in the city of Camden. I love each and every one of you, and God bless you.
While I'm here, I just want to say, you know this is a jump up. I'm not going to call out your name, but I am going to call out one young lady's name that I'm glad is making it. After that, after she goes, you can come up and just say what you have to say. And that's Miss Naomi Andrews. She used to be a teacher in our district. She just retired last year, but she has a story to tell about the woman who influenced her.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I would like to speak about Mother Helen Love. I don't know if any of you know Mother Helen Love. She sang with the Savettes. She's the original Savettes. She was a member of Rock of Ages Church for over 60-some years. And when she got older, her son came to Philadelphia and took her to Rochester, New York, and she left us. But before she left, she told me she was going to fade away. And I told her, I said, Mother Love, I'm not going to let you fade away. She was a part of our Love Outreach Ministry for Christ, and she was always there helping to give out food, to visit the sick, or whatever we did, Mother Love was there. And she's the sweetest lady I know. I never met anybody like her. I never heard her say anything about anybody. I never heard her say anything negative. All she does is speak love. All she does is encourage you. And one day I was talking to her on the phone, and she said, I don't know why I'm still here. I said, Mother Love, you're here because we need you. We need your encouragement. And every time I call her, she'll tell me, hold on, Sister Rose. That's what I go by, Rose. She says, hold on, Sister Rose. And she, I just love to call her. I try to call her at least every other day because I need that encouragement. She always tells me such wonderful things. And even though she moved away, she still sends money to the Love Outreach. She still helps us out, even though she can't help, to be there in person. But she started to paint, and she would get all these pictures. She'd get maybe about 15 or 20 pictures, and she would have her son mail them to me. And I take them out and I sell them for the Love Outreach Ministry. And I think that is so special. She's 95 years old. And for my birthday last year, July the 13th was my birthday. And it was on a Sunday, and I had big plans for that day. And my daughter said, Mom, I'm taking you away for your birthday. And I'm like, well, I have such wonderful plans. This better be good. And she wouldn't tell me to that day, but I figured it was going to New York to see Mother Love. And I went to New York, and I went to church with her, and we had such a wonderful time. And I wanted to bring a picture that Mother Love painted, and just to show you how special she is. And she puts her name on each picture. She writes love in the corner somewhere. And she sends these to us to sell. Some of them are a little smaller. I think she has one or two that's even larger than this. And she's just a special, wonderful missionary. This is what you call a missionary. Even though you can't go and can't do, you can write letters, or you can call somebody on the phone, or you can encourage people. She's the type of person that just she's just full of love. And I'm so glad that I know her and that she's a part of my life. Mother Helen Love.
I want to say good morning, everyone. My name is Darlene Figueroa, and the woman that inspired my life was, one of them was my grandmother, and she passed away in my home. She was 102 years old, and we helped take care of her. We didn't put her in a nursing home. We took care of her because my dad and them was from down south. But the lady I want to talk about, Miss Howard Smith. I was not going to church, and met Miss Smith. She came to my home to tell my dad and my brother about her religion. I had some foundations that I could turn to my grandchildren. I have 10 grandchildren, and I can teach them about God and the love of God and God to do everything else. And I enjoyed your story, Miss Erica, and God bless you, and may the Lord continue to bless you. And I just want to thank the Parent Center for letting us come out and be involved, and we have good parent leaders. And I'm so proud of y'all, that y'all are good parent leaders. And I'm just thankful that I'm grown now and I can take care of myself, and when I need help, I can always depend on the Lord Jesus Christ to help me. And y'all all have a blessed day, and God bless you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daphne Miller, and at one time, I was a little older than you was, young lady, when I had my child, and I needed help. So my sister helped me out, and one thing about me, I'm not proud to say if I need help, I'm going to ask for help. Because when you be proud and you act like you don't need no help, you're going to have more struggles than ever. And I needed that help with my child. And I'm going to let you know, you are a strong woman, no matter what come your way. Don't give up, okay? Keep on struggling, moving on, okay? Whatever you have in gold, keep it up.
You know, even though this is Women's Month, if you gentlemen would like to honor somebody to impact your life, you can feel free. It's not all, I mean, it is all about us, you know. But, you know, but if you'd like to, you know, give a shout out to your mom or sister or somebody, you know, we're not going to stop you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, I always, you know, during this time of the year when it's Women's Month and the District Parent Advisory Council wants to do a meeting, I always reflect back. And a lot of times I say, I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy the program. But when I really think about it, and I think about me as a male and the impact that women have had on my life, it's like, how could I not, you know, speak on that? Because again, when I hear the stories of this young lady and I hear the stories of Miss Wilson, you know, it just constantly reminds me of the impact that my mother and my grandmother, you know, and, you know, my family has had. Even as far as the District Parent Advisory Council and me walking, this has been 10 years since I've been a part of this group of these women. And, you know, and when I look back and I reflect on that, I'll be like, wow, when you say a calling or a purpose, you know, I would never think that, you know, attending one of these meetings 10 years ago and then I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, why am I still here? You know what I'm saying? Lord, put me somewhere else. Obviously, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? So with that, when I reflect on women as a male, you know, I look at, like you're saying, the struggles, knowing that my mother, when she had me, she was 16 years old. You're talking about in 1967, and you're not married. And then, you know, how does the community and your parents and you know, out of wedlock, and how that, you know, how a woman has to deal with that burden, you know, and then you're a young teenage mother, you know, and you're overcoming those things. And one thing I could say when I look at it, and I say, Dad, with my mother, you know, she's still in the same house that she was in when I was growing up. So there was stability. You know, some things like that that you don't look and take for granted, you know, that you may take for granted. But when you look at what goes on today in society, I'll be like, wow, you know, a lot of times I didn't realize the blessings that I had at that time. But now when I'm, you know, older, I can sit back and say, wow, there was stability. You know, rather she worked and supported my grandfather who had cleaners, and my grandfather just passed. And when I heard the stories, even that I really didn't realize at that time, that my grandfather had a cleaners in North Camden, and at that time, you know, it was like the challenge of him having a business and a community that was poor, and a lot of times he was providing services, wasn't getting paid. So that meant my mother wasn't getting paid. My mother never abandoned my father, my grandfather. You know, and through all those hard times when we had people in the family who worked for them, and they went on and they, you know, they took care of that, you know, themselves, you know, as far as doing what they need to do for their families. But that showed me something again about who she was as a woman. The fact that she was committed to more or less helping to serve, you know, her community. And, you know, and like I said, I would never know, you know, that it was weeks that she didn't get paid. All I know is that we had lights. All I know is that we ate. All I know is that she would, you know, I was clothed. I was wearing some of the best clothes, you know, wool, cashmere, and things at that time. If you get that stuff now, you spending hundreds of dollars, you know, for that kind of stuff. I'm like, how was I getting fur collar, you know, coats, trench, and cashmere coats and stuff then at that time? But she was making a way. So, you know, I just, as a male, and then I have to respect the fact that as, you know, growing up and being a young man and being in relationships with women, that a lot of times us men, we don't realize the power and the blessings of a woman. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's my reflection. That's why I have to stand up here today and acknowledge that. Because rather, how many of us men, we don't know, and we may not realize it, is that, you know, you are nothing without that nourishing and that loving from a woman. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be who I am today. So right now, as being a single father, I can relay my values and my character to my boys. And where did I get that from? I got it from the women. So I got to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Well, this is the last time, y'all, because we're coming to that final hour, minutes. But I do want to reflect on, I have so many women that's been in my life. My mother, my grandmother, I got my stability of getting it done, working hard. My mother worked 2 jobs, but she still took care of us. My father worked too. My father was in the household, but I'm talking about my mama now. She took not only did she work those 2 jobs, she made sure when we went to school, she was there for us to go to school. When we came home, there was food cooked, you know, but she still maintained those jobs. At that time, I used to always say, why? You know, and then it's a woman that came in my life when I was 12 years old. Her name was Alice Minnie. She seen that I loved children. And she got me a job at a daycare center at McGuire Air Force Base. And I started working there at 12 years old. She put me where I belong, where I know that I could give the love that I had to those children. And I worked there until I was 23. And then I ran into a woman, we called her Mama Stella. And Mama Stella, I was married then, GI's wife. Anybody know what GI's gonna do for you? Oh my goodness. But she looked at me and said, you're gonna be somewhere in some time that you're gonna look back and say, this is just a lesson. And that's what I can do now. And I'm jumping past some things. Then I finally moved to Camden, New Jersey. And I ran into this woman named Melody Williams. She seen me talking to the kids outside where they were working on their parents. She told me, I need to see you. When she seen, she said, I want you to go somewhere with me. And I said, okay. That was my first district parent advisory council meeting. That was 35 years ago. And I met another young lady who speaks Spanish, but she was speaking pretty good. She didn't know my name, but she came up and said hi. And she and we have been friends ever since. For me to really relate with Spanish, you know, and her name is Ramonita Lebons. Did I say it right? You know, for 35 years, no matter what, she always there. If I walk past the house, if she sees me, and everybody, they don't understand, she calls me troublemaker. She calls me troublemaker because if there's trouble, I'm always there to make it better. You know, so people get upset when they hear her call me troublemaker, but I just need to let everyone know I run that name troublemaker as a badge because it's not that she's saying that I'm doing something wrong. She knows I'm going to try to help solve that trouble that's there. And I thank you for that, Ramonita. And then I finally ran into another young lady, and I don't see her here. So I'll go on to the next one, and that's Martha Wilson. When I first met her, that's 35 years ago too. I'm gonna tell my age in a few minutes, and hers. And she said hello. I said hi. She said my name is Martha. I said pleased to meet you, Martha. She said you know what, you've got potential. And I remember just as clear as day looking at her and say, what? But she walking with me, talking to me, saying, showing me, and I'm not ashamed to tell this either. She showed me how to dress. If it was something that wasn't right, she didn't argue with me. She didn't come and put me on Front Street. She said, here, I think you look nice on it, and I want to thank you for that. And I'm not going to forget Mom Betty. When I first met her, she was fussing with me. Put that cigarette out, girl. You and Dorothy always coming around here smoking a cigarette. She's always been my mama because I lost my mom at the age, I was 20 years old when my mother died. So I want to thank you for being in my life. Then I want to thank Miss Murray. Oh, she's here now. When she came into my life, she started showing me how to sit down and think what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, even though I still get nervous. But she taught me. I sit and I watch her while she's doing her job. She's humming and she's on that computer and she's going and, you know, and I mean, it's like she's doing a dance. And she easing out, but I want to thank you. And I'm not going to go on, but it's just been so many women that took me out the ground thinking I wasn't worth nothing because I did so many things in my life. I've been knocked on, kicked down, abused, and whatever else you want to hear. So I want to thank all you women that's here, that's been here for 35 years, 25 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, and a couple of years for coming in my life. And Miss Jenkins, when I first met Miss Jenkins, first time I remember this. I don't know what I'm going to do. It was her first time she was in, what was it? Yorkshire. That was the first time I met her. But she was trying to get it together. So I'm just saying, I'm piggybacking on, we can all, no matter what, we can learn from each other. And we can always build from each other. We might not agree on everything, but if we just take the time to love each other as sisters and my brothers, we will be an army to be reckoned with. And I'm calling that out because parents, we've got to get all parents together, for they'll know that we're here, and you're not going to do our children anyway. Thank you. Thank you for coming.